Slight hand tremors after 65, an early sign of Parkinson's most people miss. You wake up, pour yourself a cup of tea, and settle into your favorite chair. As you reach for the remote, you notice something strange. Your hand trembles ever so slightly when it's resting on your knee. It's not painful. It's not even noticeable to others. Just a small, subtle shaking. You shrug it off. Maybe you're just tired. Maybe it's your blood sugar. But what if that tiny tremble was the first warning sign of something far more serious? Parkinson's disease doesn't strike like a heart attack. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And that whisper, for many people, begins with a gentle shake of the hand. It's so easy to ignore, so easy to explain away. But behind that small tremor could be a massive storm brewing in your brain. The slow death of dopamine-producing neurons that regulate movement and coordination. This disease affects nearly 10 million people worldwide, and yet most don't know they have it until it's well advanced. The tragedy is not just the disease itself, it's the delay. The months or years when small signs were brushed off as just aging. When people thought they were fine, even as the disease was quietly gaining ground. This video is a wake-up call, because in Parkinson's, the earlier you act, the more power you have. And that small shake might just be your body's way of saying, help me before it's too late. 1. Tremors at rest. The quiet signal that starts everything. The hallmark early symptom of Parkinson's is a resting tremor. Unlike tremors from anxiety or fatigue, which happen when you're active or stressed, Parkinson's tremors occur when your body is at complete rest. You might be sitting quietly, hands in your lap, and notice your fingers slowly twitching, often in a rhythmic pattern. One common form is the so-called pill-rolling tremor, where the thumb and index finger roll against each other as if manipulating a small object. At first, it's easy to miss. It may only happen once or twice a day, then it becomes daily, then more frequent. You tell yourself it's nothing until one day you're trying to tie your shoelaces or hold a spoon, and you notice your fingers not cooperating. Still, the tremor disappears when you move, which gives a false sense of comfort. But what's really happening is this. Your brain is starting to lose control over fine motor movement. This type of tremor is a direct result of dopamine depletion in a part of the brain called the substantia nigra, a structure responsible for coordinating muscle activity. Once 50 to 60% of these neurons die, symptoms like tremors begin. And here's the key. At this point, the disease has already been progressing silently for years. So when your hand starts shaking at rest, it's not the beginning of Parkinson's, it's the middle. Catching it now is your best shot at slowing it down. 2, not all tremors are alike. Learn to tell the difference. The body has many ways of expressing distress, and tremors are one of the most confusing. Many seniors develop essential tremor, a non-life-threatening condition that causes rhythmic shaking, usually when reaching for something, writing, or holding objects. This type of tremor tends to run in families and responds to movement or even alcohol. Parkinsonian tremor, on the other hand, is asymmetrical, often beginning on one side of the body and appears when the muscle is at rest. Let's say you're drinking coffee. With essential tremor, the cup may shake as you bring it to your lips. With Parkinson's, your hand may be still while lifting, but shake the moment you set the cup down and relax. That difference is subtle, but critical. Doctors often use tests like spiral drawing to differentiate between types. In essential tremor, the spiral is wide and shaky. In Parkinson's, it's small and tight, reflecting another subtle symptom called micrographia, or small handwriting. Recognizing these patterns can save years of misdiagnosis, because treatment paths are entirely different, and what works for one can worsen the other. So if you notice your tremor is one-sided, starts at rest, and is accompanied by small handwriting or facial stiffness, don't assume. Ask. Demand clarity. 3. Other subtle symptoms that whisper Parkinson's, but you miss them. Parkinson's is not just about tremors. In fact, some people never develop tremors at all, but they still have Parkinson's. That's why relying on one symptom is dangerous. The disease shows itself in many small ways, each easy to overlook, but together they tell a story. You might notice your posture changing, slouching more, dragging a foot, or feeling unstable while turning. Your facial expressions may fade, leading people to think you're sad or tired when you're not. This is called hypomimia, and it's one of the first things others notice. Your voice might become softer, flatter, harder to project. You may find it harder to make decisions, feel anxious for no reason, or lose your sense of smell. Years before the tremor starts, even your handwriting can change. What used to be a bold signature becomes small, cramped, and hard to read. And all of this can happen before you or your doctor even suspects Parkinson's. That's why it's critical to observe these signs together. One small tremor? Maybe nothing. A tremor plus smaller writing, plus softer speech? That's a pattern that demands attention. 4. Why early diagnosis changes everything, from helplessness to hope. Many people think a diagnosis of Parkinson's is a death sentence. It's not. It's a fight, one you can prepare for, and even win small battles in, especially if you catch it early. With early diagnosis, treatments like carbidopa, levodopa can restore balance and reduce stiffness, tremors, and slowness. Physical and occupational therapy can retrain your body to stay flexible and strong. Speech therapy can help your voice stay expressive and clear. But perhaps most importantly, early action allows you to take control, not just of your symptoms, but of your mindset. Studies show that patients who begin treatment early have better outcomes, slower progression, and maintain independence longer. One research study published in The Lancet Neurology showed that patients who started treatment within 6 months of symptom onset had significantly better quality of life 5 years later. There are also promising developments in deep brain stimulation, DBS, and neuroprotective therapies. These treatments aren't miracles, but they're most effective when used early. Waiting until your disease is advanced reduces their impact. So don't wait for a fall. Don't wait until you need help dressing or feeding yourself. Start now while the disease is still in its early stages, when you still have the most tools at your disposal. 5. When should you get checked? And what will they look for? So when does that small tremor become a real concern? The moment it repeats, the moment it starts happening more often, the moment it's accompanied by any other change in speech, walking, writing, or expression. That's when it's time to talk to your doctor. And not just any doctor, but a neurologist, preferably one who specializes in movement disorders. A good evaluation involves more than a casual look. You'll be asked to walk, balance, stretch, speak. They'll test your reflexes, facial movements, muscle tone, and coordination. You may be asked to draw spirals, write a sentence, or even smell certain items, since loss of smell is another early sign. And yes, some neurologists may order imaging like an MRI to rule out stroke or tumors. In some cases, a DAT scan, a special brain scan that shows dopamine transporter activity, can support a Parkinson's diagnosis. But remember, Parkinson's is primarily a clinical diagnosis. A skilled neurologist can often recognize it with high accuracy based on observation alone. And if the result is positive, it's not the end. It's the beginning of taking back control, of understanding your body, of making changes that will preserve your dignity, your independence, and your joy for years to come. Don't wait for the storm. Catch the wind early. Here's what I want you to remember. A single hand tremor isn't just a shake. It might be a signal. Your brain doesn't always scream when it's in trouble. Sometimes it whispers. If you wait for the storm to hit, it may already be too late. But if you catch the wind early, if you notice the signs and act, you give yourself a chance to move longer, speak clearer, love deeper, and live fully. So if your hand is trembling, even just a little, don't brush it off. Listen, observe, and speak up. Because the earlier you act, the more future you save, not just for yourself, but for everyone who loves you.